evidence, and I say, what do you mean by evidence? And you go, any evidence.
Yeah, I'm just leaving it up for you to kind of take that wherever you want, but I mean...
So it's a burden shift. I'm asking you what constitutes evidence from your paradigm so that I can accurately give you an argument for conditions for evidence.
Sure, I mean... the type of evidence would be relevant. Do you?
Yeah, I can explain it to you. Like, I can see how, for instance, if you were a hard empiricist and you said that the only thing that constitutes evidence from your worldview is that which is inherent taste, touch, hear, smell, scientific metric, right? Like that which you can empirically test and verify through experimentation. That would be a different type of evidence than, like, let's say, a philosophical judgment. So when I ask you what's evidence, just leave it up to you. I want to know so that I can give you certain proofs that you can incredible from your perspective. Because I have many arguments. I just want to know what you deem to be credible evidence from your point of view. That way, I don't give you evidence that you don't consider evidence.
Actually, let's just scratch that. I just let's be real, and we can just go off there and ask some questions for you. We spoke about this, and you've seen the trend line destiny debate.
Yeah.
So, what would be, I don't know if you remember the specific hypothetical, but let's say that a woman it's discovered that her zygote or whatever has a deformation, so it will continue to develop, but not past the stage of being a zygote. But let's say that she can deliver it, she can keep it alive on a pantry tray. From your perspective, this would be, but from your perspective, this would be, it would be extra palliative care. What do you mean?
I mean, not extra palliative, I'm sorry, extraordinary palliative care, where typically, if an individual, so like for instance, I don't think this is analogous to pregnancy, because the individual is viable, the individual outside of the womb, if not given some sort of extraordinary care, palliative care would unalive. I don't think it's necessarily analogous, but I'll play ball here, because Destiny kind of made a blunder there that Trent Horn didn't pick up on. I would give the same answer as Trent Horn, which is like the extraordinary care is not obligated for the mother. So like if the baby is in a petri dish or a test tube, well, if you want the full explanation, maybe I'm going awry, but if you want the full explanation, I don't think that it's necessary for the mother to keep the zygote or this free viable fetus in a test tube or a petri dish and continue to give it nutrients through, some sort of some sort of concoction of chemicals that's given to it every day so that it can survive. This would be extra normal care.
What's that
the obligation? Yeah, so I would say like normative care would be like the thing which is obligated of the mother to give to the child, right? So there are parental obligations, there are also familial obligations.
Okay, I understand that. I never societal. So,
right, so this
why would there be an
above and beyond? So like when I'm saying extra normative, what I mean by normative is there's a parental obligation to a certain extent, but you know that I'm a threshold animalist. So at a certain point that obligation no longer implies that a certain threshold is met. So why would certain threshold in the life of this fetus in a test tube or a petri dish, the mother has to give this extra normative care because it would be extra it's an obligation that is necessitated by relation to the fetus. To do so.
Alright,
so I just want to get quick into two things. So first, that this is rich barrier. Second of all, yes, I don't see because like caring for
Let's
a
get that
child
door open sharpish.
and like
That
feeding
LTV ain't gonna
every
speak for itself.
like, a few drops of water every day. To me, it seems in the former case the care would be substantially more difficult. Like it seems like there would be more of an obligation, whether physical, emotional, etc. in the first case,
Enemy
right?
movement in the AO.
Sure. I could even grant that to you. That doesn't actually critique the position that I just gave you, though.
Okay, so I'm confused on the position. Because you said that it would be different degrees.
It would be so extraordinary, but in case of having to feed a baby in a test tube to keep it alive, that the mother wouldn't be obligated to do so because this is such an extraordinary measure to be taken where for the rest of her life.
Wait, why is it extraordinary? Like, what difference?
Do you think it's ordinary?
No, but if, like, more severe autism needs more care, I don't think that's ordinary as well, but I think there should still be an obligation.
That's not what I'm saying. Does a child with autism grow? Does a child with autism display other functions of a child with autism?
I don't see why it would be relevant from your perspective if it goes to other parts of
yeah, because
images and trials.
Psychology takes a lot of other factors into account, not just I'm saying
I would be consistent and say it's,
how is it extraordinary care? Extraordinary care, because extra is more than ordinary. So ordinary care would be like a normal pregnancy resulting in a normal birth, resulting in a normal child, and then that individual taking care of that child.
Okay, so I guess what's the difference?
In this case, you have from your perspective, a zygote, not even like a pre-viable fetus. Is then put into a test tube and has to be every day for the rest of the woman's life, given some sort of concoction of chemicals or.
I mean, we can just say 18 years.
I'm trying. Yeah, sure. For 18 years, hey, buddy, I'll bite the bullet.
You would bite the bullet and say that there would be an obligation?
No, I wouldn't say there's an obligation, but honestly, I'd be willing to bite that bullet because I think that the inverse, if we go into your critique, your position, I critique your position, you're going to die on a lot worse hills than I'm willing to die on.
Yeah, I think because you're saying it, one care is extraordinary and one care is ordinary. I don't see really what the moral difference would be.
Yeah, okay, so what do you mean by one care is ordinary and one care is extraordinary? I would say that it would be the case that it would be ordinary care for an individual who can be viable outside of the womb without some sort of extraordinary sustenance where they live a relatively normal life. They're still relatively normal. They're not stuck in a test tube for the rest of their life. I would say that this specific exception or reductio doesn't really work given the obligations that I gave. So there's an extraordinary amount of effort that would have to be put in that does not meet the threshold of the obligation that I'm saying is had by the mother.
Okay, but wait. Sorry to cut you off, but is that not kind of like, what's more of an obligation in your perspective? Watering a pantry dish for 18 years or like
taking care of an autistic child?
No, it doesn't even have to be autistic. It can just be like a regular child.
Yeah, well, yeah, you have a higher obligation. Like I said, the obligation would be the same. You have that obligation to your child. However, the threshold at which the obligation no longer applies is different. There's a the obligation is still apply. However, if extraordinary needs are necessary in order to take care of this child, I don't think that's necessary.
Toss a grenade!
other factors that come into play when it comes to a baby in a test tube that you have to feed nutrients.
Yeah, but I'm trying to figure out why the fact that it would be extraordinary would constitute any difference. Like, it has no difference in like the degree of like obligation. It would actually seem like far less.
No, it would be degree of it would be the threshold is met.
I'm not the enemy here.
The threshold point would be broken. You would have the obligation to care for the fetus or the child afterward. Test tube baby that will never actually grow into a full-blown baby. It never actually care. And while it would be bad, bad in the sense like it would be born wrong. So, bad in the sense of like it's truly a tragedy that this man's alive. I don't think that that's the obligation, so I've heard of the doctrine.
Let me ask you one question. Do you think the obligation of like a highly sensitive child is trying to going and the care extraordinary differentiation, let's say,
sure, it might be extraordinary, but the thing is that it's completely different. Here's what I'm trying to tell you. Do you think it's different? Is for you to get a zygote test tube.
Happy to step in.
Yeah, that's my point. Okay, so why is it different? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Well, that's what I'm
I'm not trying to, because you're just saying that one is extraordinary care and one is ordinary care.
Yeah,
and you're saying
why one is
enemy
more
UAV.
So I didn't give the argument for the hypothetical. I'm simply trying to give you the argument for yourself as to why I might have this feeling towards the test tube hypothetical.
My assumption would be logically different. So that would
whether it be the high
I'm not
a child perfectly normal or
if you're saying that they're all nice and knowledge, okay, well if that's true,
I already told you the obligations. The threshold at which the obligation no longer applies.
Aim for the enemy. Swapping mags.
Circumstance. So, like, for instance, if a baby is unprecedented, then it will never grow into a child. So, if says something like this,
right, but I don't see how this would say that. If this is
Like
like a child,
got it. Really quickly, if I could just get into it, it comes to this specific circumstance. It would be the case that a threshold would be met at which the obligation is no longer applied to where the mother to not give the care necessary to the child alive. So, for instance, also that if a child of the mother can sustain their obligations is not
Happy to step in.
let's say a 16. Do you think it might be the case that under my framework, the mother has no obligation and the child is 16 they would choose not to sustain the life of that child?
Tag secure.
How would it serve? What I'm saying here is it's going to be a mother facing extraordinary needs. Sure, I guess I understand it's a position, so if it is this mother still has the obligation to sustain the life of her child. The 16-year-old decides on his 16th birthday that he doesn't want to live anymore unless his mother does absolutely everything for him. Everything. He just lays in bed all day, doesn't do absolutely nothing. I think that under my, given the fact that I talk about extraordinary means versus I don't say that it's the obligation of the mother to sustain the life of the 16-year-old. In fact, sustain
Yeah, no, so that would
Blast out!
say that
no, it would have been but
because
Took a shot!
you're saying that there's like a threshold.
Ammo
You
here!
ask what the threshold is. It seems like you're just
Brain flash!
describing like the specifics of it. You're saying that one specific and that
Friendly mosquito deployed.
is like
Confirm
not
that one.
and one wouldn't. Or like why would one threshold?
so I gave you all. Also, by the way, BT3 we're actually doing a lot better. Used to do it taking my stance. This isn't necessarily my stance right now because night is supposed to be already. Which is why I'm like dancing around the specifics of the threshold. So,
Swapping mags!
but, let's say, this hypothetical with a 16-year-old is asking a specific question that has to do with the threshold. Where even perfectly normal, or born perfectly normal, sorry, raised perfectly normal, all of a sudden, the child, the mother, decides that so of sustaining their own life always has the obligation. So if they're employed to sustain the life of the child in certain circumstances, I would say that this is where the threshold is broken.
Yeah, I can understand why that would be a 16-year-old case. I can understand why it would be the case.
Return to base.
You already conceded, or you already granted that in the case of this argument, as to this is ordinary, extraordinary. So I'm saying that there are cases in which it would be extraordinary care. That's going to be the threshold breaker. Now, how extraordinary care applies is going to be different on a case-by-case basis. But just because of one reductio or hypothetical,
Yeah, but you would
answering a certain way doesn't mean that it would apply in all ways in such a way that the principle could be tested across all cases. Does
yeah,
that make
but
sense?
but you would say that the care granted to like someone, like a child with a developmental illness or whatever, this would be extraordinary care, correct?
No, I would say this is
Based on what? Or how are you hashing out ordinary care?
Yeah.
What would be ordinary versus extraordinary care?
Yeah, so ordinary is regardless of developmental issues. Well, one, I mean, I could have immediately went to this, but I'll give it a second before I do. But one extraordinary care would be ordinary, that which is not obligated by ordinary. Ordinary
Right, but you're not
main
explaining.
definition. I know ordinary care is going to be the main definition, which is going to inform the other one. So ordinary care would be that care which could be given to
Team deathmatch.
the offspring.
All operatives to engage.
It's an obligation. I suppose, but that would another has this obligation regardless of how the process is. If it were affect her to a certain degree.
We've lost the lead.
This would be ordinary.
Lethal going out.
Which is why I'm being very careful.
Throwing grenade!
Tactical.
To continue and tell us honestly, and I also don't want to sound selfish myself because I can't argue to the fullest extent that I usually argue. Have a lesson there on theology.
Almost got me.
Coming from
Almost. Switching mag.
Genesis.
Hostile must
Choice now.
Yeah. What yeah, I'm gonna have to place, you know. That's not
Tossing
what we
tactical.
think, but
Lethal dot.
So because you said kind of
Tactical out.
relevant to the stage of
Enemy KIA.
not stage of development.
Loading fresh mag.
Regardless of
Breaker fire.
hostile FAE near your position.
Enemy rock. Taking
I
fire.
tried to engage
Tossing tactical.
because, like, even though I'm not going right,
Gaining ground.
Again. I'm never done for long.
I didn't have to.
Hostile
Obviously,
FAE
the
incoming.
that means you're drawn.
Requesting recon on the way. Here we go. Tactical out.
Hypothetical typically need to test specific principles and they give say
That was close.
with reality certain
Tactical out.
this specific hypothetical.
Tactical out.
I would say the same thing to the S-Link or anyone else that uses this one. Same yes,
Tossing tactical. Tactical out. Getting the rock. Wrong in sight.
what is it called?
Tossing tactical.
yeah, just like
Talk about a little bit.
Hostile eliminated.
Yeah, it's just I didn't immediately want to go there. I just
Tactical
wanted to
out.
kind of like fuck your
Mosquito is online.
I was able to engage with it and I just gave you the
Hard.
I don't think that works anymore, but
Grenade out.
Tossing tactical. You got cocky. I'm not your friend. Tactical out.
hypotheticals in the sense of like give
Mission
equal
failed.
rights to
Return to
human
base.
beings. Yeah,
yeah, but
simpliciter.
different.
I mean, Superman.
They're not of the
Yeah.
species, so it would be
Right.
a species.
Yeah, the point it's trying to draw is just this is a hypothetical that's like not really based in reality, such as like
It does test his principle. It does test the created in image of God principle. It does test it. And it doesn't violate it at all. Shit.
and
From my view, I would say it is logically impossible to keep a zygote alive with a pipette full of nutrients every day.
Why would it be
So
logically
like, I didn't want to immediately.
impossible?
It would be logically impossible to do this because this isn't the bodily function of the zygote. The zygote could not survive outside of its natural environment.
Sure, but
And I think
that seems like just a
so.
yeah, but that's just a descriptive fact. I don't see.
That would not be logically possible. Impossible. That's a different modality. That would be like.
Hold on.
That would be like maybe anatomically impossible, but that's not logically impossible. Something that's logically impossible is for something to be dead when it happens. That's logically it's logically impossible because elections are an ethnic group of humans. So you have to
Contact.
Team deathmatch.
Exposing
Taking
tactical.
the lead.
Tactical out. Exposing tactical. Lethal going out. Fire. Tactical out.
can't do the tactical.
Lethal's up.
I don't believe you.
Lethal going out. Exposing tactical. Lethal's up. Tactical out. Lethal going out.
UAV overhead. Friendly SAE on the way.
Ammo here. Exposing tactical. Lethal's up.
Hostile drones swarming. Take
Tactical
cover.
out. Drop them. Changing mag. Exposing tactical. Lethal's up.
It's just the only reason why shooting is a quick mode is because it's like it's a quick XP. That's all it is.
Exposing tactical.
You see that stuff is annoying. Like you get there's 16. I feel like just probably sleeping the game. I'm trying to do a challenge here.
Here we go. Tactical out.
Hostile VC.
Exposing tactical.
UAV.
Lethal going out.
No. Just do a different game. No. I don't want to be in a match like that when we're getting destroyed. No, we're not gonna do that. Getting kills with a tactical stance is one of the stupidest challenges. Who uses the tactical stance? In case you missed it, the semi-automatic guns, they're terrible. The semi-automatic are terrible. I mean, that's not logically impossible. I don't remember that debate. It's not logically impossible, but it is something that it does test the principle. I do agree the hypotheticals are very obscure, but they do test a principle. They exist for a reason because they test a principle. Now, in that case, when it referring to the abortion discussion, that case hasn't happened, right? That's why it's a hypothetical, because it doesn't really address the general case, right? But it tests a principle. So you can't entertain.
Enemy KIA.
Right to the air.
Wrong six sight.
UAV ready to deploy.
Switching mags.
Standing by.
Even though he's clearly a better debater than me, I think that he could do better. Like, that's not logically impossible. It's violating the logic. That is not violating the law.
No, active.
Shooting it off.
Flag secure. Kill confirmed. The enemy's taking the lead.
Tossing tactical. Ammo here.
UAV is bingo. Marking the other side.
Example,
Never done
I mean, like, it is literally logically impossible for something to be dead and alive at the same time. It's nonsensical, right? It's logically impossible for there to be a triangular square. It violates the law, I believe the law of identity, the law of non-contradiction. I think it's actually the law of identity. Like, if something is a triangle, it's by definition not a square, and vice versa.
Taking fire. Close one.
Kill confirmed. We've taken the lead.
Hostile spotted. Flash out.
recon at my location.
Copy.
There we go. Tactical out.
Hostiles launching a cruise missile. Tank secure. Kill confirmed.
I'm in.
Mosquito deployed.
Changing mags. Tossing tactical.
Same thing, it's like logically impossible to do.
Enemy KIA. Loading fresh mag.
Friendly mosquito active. Notch one.
That was close.
Halfway mission
Oh,
complete.
shit this fire. Changing mags.
It's logically impossible to be a dead, alive organism. That makes no sense, because if the definition of dead means no longer alive, then definition of alive means not dead. So you can't be dead and alive at the same time. Dang.
Take the
Taking
lead.
rounds.
Friendly mosquito active.
How is he not dead? That should be a one-hit kill.
Now we're even. I'm never done for long. Bombs in sight.
Kill confirmed.
Tactical out. Almost got me. Almost.
That's where a semi-automatic, like, it's faster and like, but the semi-automatic is less damage.
Tossing tactical.
Kill
Dropped them.
confirmed.
Taking fire. Tactical out. I'm hit.
Online.
Tossing. Check your fire.
Deployed.
It is spawning right there.
Bombs in sight.
UAV ready.
Getting it up. Close one. Requesting recon at my location.
Copy. UAV is on
Loading
station.
fresh mag.
Online.
I prefer to be
Cruise
thinking
missile ready
cash.
for launch.
Enemy KIA.
Kill confirmed. Hostile mosquito is online.
That was close.
The mission's complete. Good work.
So the question, like, what if he discovered, like I said, what if he discovered a production? That's logically impossible. That's really logically impossible. Because like the definition of a Russian is, or one of the definitions is like not the nationality, right? It's like a specific ethnic group of people. Technically, it's Slavs, right? Of humans. So, like, Russians are basically, or even a specific nationality of humans. So, in order to be a Russian, you would have to be a human